All right, peace and love, Moors, peace and love. We just gonna have a live Q&A session right now. Been a minute since we did it, but it's all good. First and foremost, though, we rise. We give the highest praise to the Most High, the Father of the universe, Allah. We also give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality. All right, without whom we wouldn't even know that we were Moors. We wouldn't know that we were more than the labels that have been branded on us, the things that have been forced upon us and on our ancestors. We also give honors to the forerunner, to the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for Noble Drew Ali. We give honors to all the Adab Sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheik by the prophet. A lot of people didn't even know that the prophet established the government. He set up the executive branch. He set up the judicial, the legislative, everything was established, the Supreme Grand Council, and he also appointed the Supreme Grand Sheik, and that's our brother, E. Millie Ill. We give honors to him. We give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheik, Brother K. Dandridgel. Honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and just honors to all the L's and Bays out there. Islam, Islamism. Now, today we're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna get started, and we're just gonna have an open Q&A session. So feel free to type in the chat any questions you have, anything that you're wondering about. It's all good. All right, Islam. All right, and yeah, of course, click that follow button. All right, make sure that you're in here and that you're Islam. So Islam, make sure that you're following or subscribe to the Moors in America page. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you like that page. We're also on Instagram. A lot of people don't know that Instagram is blown up, so make sure you're on Instagram as well, okay? And that's just Moors in America. Really easy, right? Real easy and simple to follow that. So make sure you're on there. Peace and love, everyone. Open session, Q&A. I mean, there's some stuff that I would like to talk about, but, you know, it's all good. If you have questions, feel free to ask, and we're going to go ahead and do it now. I do want y'all to check something out, though. We got something special for you. Hang on. Okay, check this video out. Let me know what you think. Peace and love.
American.
Representing Mission 30, I am a Moorish American. Islamism.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soared through the shores and endured criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods, and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit, just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, facing Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, Islam, peace and love, everybody. All right, what y'all think of that? Feel free to share your feedback in the chat. Let me know if you feeling that. I love that from the brother Sean Bands right here in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you for that. So yeah, we already have a good question. Somebody just asked, why is there no video or audio of the prophet? And it's funny that you asked that because just like a week or so ago, I saw video footage from a brother who the prophet actually assisted in putting in office. Okay, and this was Oscar the Priest. All right, I'm gonna see if I could pull. Okay, yeah, we had that. So I'm gonna see if I could share that video with y'all. But yeah, so recently,
how does the 2020 census
was uploaded to YouTube. I don't know how long it's been floating around out there, right? Of the brother Oscar the Priest. Okay, and Oscar the Priest actually, well, from many accounts, some people say that he was actually a member of the temple. Pardon that. So you have people who say that he was actually a member. I haven't seen the rolls. I don't know if he was actually officially a member, but I do know that he was in the meetings. He was at convention. He spoke at convention. He was very active in the movement. Okay, and so Oscar the Priest, someone who was active. He wasn't the first so-called African American, we say Asiatic representative, but you had a period from Reconstruction, late 1800s on up through the early 1900s, where no Asiatics were getting into office, right? There's a reason for that. So the priest was the first one since that time period ended to get in office. How did he get in office? Our brother, the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, assisted in doing that. The Moors were mobilized, and what was one of the things that the prophet said? He said to cast the sacred ballot. A lot of people want to talk trash about voting, and you don't even realize that this was something that the prophet was pushing, that he was encouraging, and he's very adamant about Moors being involved in this. But I did want to share this video with you just so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me see if we could pull this up for you. All right. How do we get this? Okay, so if I could show you the video, I'll pull it up. If not, we'll just keep it moving. But like I was saying, we have footage of the brother Oscar the Priest, and he's actually on video speaking, and no telling how long this footage has been out there. I mean, it's from 1929. Okay, so it is possible that there is video of the prophet. We have photos of him, of course, so it's possible that we have video or audio of him speaking. It is very possible that somebody's got it, or that it could have been destroyed. That's possible as well. All right, and one of the reasons I bring that up, though, is because it you know, it would make sense for it to be out there, seeing how prominent many of the members were. You had the brother. There's something else I want to show you guys. I'm playing around with some new software, so I'm getting this figured out. So I just need you to bear with me. I'm trying to get some stuff up here for you, but you had some other prominent members of the movement, like brother Aaron Painell, as well as his brother Clarence Payne. Aaron Painell was an attorney, and in many ways an attorney to the stars. He was he had clients like Nat King Cole. He had several prominent and even famous like celebrity clients. His brother was a very well-respected physician. He was actually elected Surgeon General, right, twice in Illinois, and like he worked with the president, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Like they were like very astute, very like prominent people, and so more than likely there is some footage somewhere. Now, has it survived, 100 years? I don't know. I can't speak on that. But, that's a good question. It makes sense. It should be here, right? So, yeah, I could share this. This is the video footage I was talking about. Now, this was just put up on YouTube not even 2 years ago, December of 2017. And that's Oscar the Priest. It says Negro Congressman. We know he's an Asiatic. Now, this brother was very active in the movement, and then 1929, that's in the Prophet's time. Okay, so it would make sense for him to be there, to have footage of him. And then, like I was saying, the brother Clarence Painell, this is his brother, Aaron Painell, who many of you have heard about, but many of you haven't heard about his brother, Clarence Payne. He was featured in Jet magazine back in 1976, talking about this week in Black History, just going on about him. I'm just saying, some type of footage has to exist somewhere, right? It would just make sense. So, yeah, it's a good question, but no telling. I mean, the longer time goes by, the more likely it is not to pop up because it could have been destroyed over time. Right. So somebody's saying, how come we don't get together as a nation and nationalize our lands, aka a Mexican America, like Fidel Castro did in Cuba? All right. Now, for that question, I would say, what are you doing to assist? What is your idea of coming together? Is it coming together when one of these groups that somebody just created a few years ago? Is it coming together in the society that the Prophet created when he actually incorporated the Moorish Science Temple of America, something that he built for us, something that, is written throughout the laws, because, for us, for members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, his word is law. So it's written throughout the laws that we must come into his society and become active participants, active members. We know that becoming a member is synonymous to being a citizen, all right, within our nation. So, it depends on what you're talking about. Are you an active member of the Moorish Science Temple of America? All right, you're going to have to answer that because, how are we coming together as a nation? What is your idea? Is your idea better than the Prophet's idea? The Prophet did all this work in his lifetime to not just set up a religious organization, but to make moves, all right, that activated the body politic portion of what he established, so that it's more than just a religious organization. People can literally come in here and proclaim your nationality as a Moorish American and be recognized as such. All right? So, and then move accordingly together. But, you would have to answer, like, what's your idea of coming together as a nation? Is it something that you created? Is it something that someone else created? It does matter which one because, nothing else is legitimate. All right? Nothing else is legitimate. Not knocking anyone or anything anyone else is trying to do, just being real. If anybody's who is trying to have their own thing going, if they're going to be real with you, they know that you must work within the society that the prophet established for us. All right? There's no work around that. You can't skip out on that. All right? So yeah, I mean, if that brother's still in here, answer that question. What's your idea of coming together? All right? What is it? Because if your idea of coming together is something that you created or something that someone else created, you know what I'm saying? It's not I don't want to just knock it, but it doesn't carry the same weight. All right? It just doesn't. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so let's see. Why do Moors call North America Morocco? Everybody doesn't agree with this, but for the most part, as a Moorish American, I'm not looking at the terminology of Morocco in the restrictive sense. Okay, more than likely what you're referring to in Morocco, you're just talking about the present day nation state that's in North Africa. But even that, just being honest and real about history. All right, Morocco was not constrained to that area in the past, or what would have been considered even the kingdom of Morocco. Okay, it's moved around and it's been expansive. You've had Moors throughout West Africa. They could have been considered, even though you had separate rulers. All right, you still had a sultan who was seated in Morocco that they respected, and these people were considered Moors. So this is going all the way out through Benin and different parts of West Africa. Then, of course, much of Southern Europe, Spain, on out throughout Italy and other portions of Europe, even places further out, were considered Moroccan states. Matter of fact, the seat of power was in Spain, or Al-Andalus, right? And nobody can deny that, because that took place of almost 800 years. I mean, a lot of empires don't even last that long, right? So for almost 800 years or 600 years, the seat of power was there. But they ruled, for nearly 800 years, okay? So Morocco wasn't limited to that, the present-day nation state of Morocco. So we don't look at it in the restrictive sense. It's just like when the empire was expanding, it was expanding even out into the Pacific and out into the even in Southeast Asia, and of course like the Philippines, which we call it the Philippines today, but for a long time that was an Islamic kingdom, and they were Moors. Why? Because it was an Islamic kingdom. It was a part of the Moroccan Empire, and you still have a faction there in the Philippines to this day that want to align with that part of themselves, because they're saying we don't want to name ourselves after King Philip. We're Moros. Okay? And then in the non-restrictive sense, from us, members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we know the North, South, Central America, the Atlantis Islands, which means the Caribbean. We know that all of this was at one point a portion of the ancient Moroccan Empire. All right? And even though this isn't really discussed in mainstream history or taught, well, I don't know where you're from, but in the United States, they don't really teach this. It is known that trade was taking place between the Americas and the continent of Africa long before the Europeans arrived. Okay, so even if you're just looking at it from that perspective, you had Moors here who set up outposts. All right. Who literally had, Moorish, I guess you could say, societies here. All right. We have several instances of this throughout history. It's just, we're not looking at it in a restrictive sense. And we know that we're the descendants of those ancient Moroccans. So for us to say that this is a part of North America, that North America is a part of Morocco, it's because we know that this is actually Northwest Africa. South America is Southwest Africa. Why? Because we've been here since before the continent split apart. All right? And so from our perspective, that's what's going on. And so that might be too much information for a lot of people, probably too much information for most people, but that's what it is. And we're not going to limit ourselves just because everyone else isn't up to speed. Most people need to hear, not knocking Europeans, but most people need to hear this from a European because Europeans have established themselves as the authority figures. All right, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking the hustle. All right, but they won't accept it until they hear their authority figures confirm this information for them. Okay, and this even takes place in Africa. For I know the person in the chat is of, North African descent, and so even in different nations in North Africa, even though they should have their own education systems, they should be teaching their own history. They've been inundated. They've been colonized. They've been, they're speaking French. They're speaking Spanish, right? They're speaking English. So they've been colonized. And their educational system has been colonized as well. And so they're being taught what is safe for them to know. And so that's, as I was saying, everyone sees the Europeans as the authority figures, and I'm not saying it to knock anyone. I'm not trying to knock people in North Africa. I'm not knocking Europeans. I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just saying it is what it is. So for us to go off of our own history, what we know to be true, that's why I was saying it's probably too much information for a lot, because you can't accept it until, your authority figures tell you. All right. My authority is Allah, so I don't need anyone else to confirm it for me. I can look throughout history though and see the information that confirms it. I can see when the European explorers are coming in and interacting with the indigenous people of Peru, and the nobles of Peru are wearing something they call a yantu, and they're describing it as a crimson headdress with a tassel on it. I know that that's a fez. I know that that's what I'm wearing on my head right now, so I'm not confused about that. It's not hard for me to deal with that information. But for a lot of us, it is, because, it's just so outside of the norm. Okay? And so if that's where you're coming from, you're not going to get it. Not going to get it. You're going to have to do some more research. There's a book by a brother named Jose Pimenta Bay. Check it out. Othello's Children in the New World. It's a great book. He did great research and, may help enlighten you and open your mind. All right? And so, okay, somebody in the chat saying the entire North America wasn't considered Morocco. You have to understand there were seaports building. Okay, so with that, I can't really speak to that. I know that Morocco, one of the terms is Al-Maghrib, Alaska, and when you're referring to the furthest west, okay, in the restrictive sense, you'll just be thinking about Mauritania, going off to the coast, the western coast of Africa. But from our perspective, North America is West Africa. What is the northwest coast today called? It's called Alaska, Alaska. Now, that's not a coincidence. And I don't care what anyone else says. I can't stick my head in the sand. That's not a coincidence. All right? It's still here. All right? This is the Northwest Gate. So the Al-Maghrib, Alaska is not just going out to Mauritania. That's all the way out to Alaska. Alaska, still here to this day. All right? Why? Because we've been here since before, the Atlantic Ocean was what it is today, when these things were still connected. All right? And there's really no telling how long ago that occurred, because you can't really go off of the common narrative that we're given with these things happening over billions of years and hundreds of millions of years. Like, no, we don't know that, do we? Who's telling us this? What's the theory that it's based off of? It's all based off of a theory. Carbon dating. The rock formations going down deeper. It's the older it gets, the deeper it gets. It's like, no, it's not true. It's all faulty. Okay, but yeah, there is some stuff I do want to pull up. Let's see. Had to go back in and figure some of this stuff out all over again, but it's all good. All right, but yeah, we are going to talk about some stuff. Okay, so I do want y'all to see this. There's a lot going on. Obviously, everybody's, a lot of people's worried. A lot of people are stressed out. They're pushing the pandemic, right? You see a lot of people talking about it now, talking about things that they weren't talking about in the past. You see information seeping out into the public that wasn't out there. Now, if anyone's been like watching the videos and stuff we've been putting out on YouTube, like going back to the 144,000 with Sharif and Sakara, right? Like back in 2007 when we was talking about this stuff, like we used to just say, hey, all these celebrities, all of these people like the Queen of England, all of these people, they all eat babies. That's just how we put it, just so that people could get that they're evil, right? But it's deep. And so been talking about this stuff for a long time, and this information is now starting to get out there, and it's not just something that like the conscious community's on now. It's getting out there to people who are like Christians, who go to church, who like all types of people, okay? And it really is like it's getting out there, and a lot of people are starting to realize there's more going on than meets the eye. They're starting to realize the food's being poisoned. They're putting chemtrails, and they got, all of these chemicals and things in there, the vaccines, and they're starting to realize that, these celebrities in Hollywood and the ones who aren't celebrities, just the wealthy, the rich, right? The Queen of England and all these people aren't what they sell themselves to be, okay? And that there's a very heinous, despicable side to them, all right? It's like unbelievable for people who've never been exposed to this before. And so this information is starting to come to the forefront, to the point where it's even being discussed in the mainstream media. The whole Pizzagate thing that happened a couple years back with Hillary Clinton. There was a, for those that don't know, there was an issue with her using, with her allegedly scrubbing or getting rid of a bunch of emails, right? Just deleting them. And the problem was that she was using like some public server or something. I forget the exact reason why they were looking into her, but it wound up blowing up because a couple years after that happened, one of her associates, constituents, Andrew Weiner, nicknamed Weiner, who has like 3 different instances of showing his wiener to someone. Andrew Weiner is like a congressman in New York, and they wound up having to seize his laptop because like the 3rd time he got caught sending inappropriate pictures and texts to people, it was an underage person. So, it was more than likely an FBI sting or something like that to get him, because they were probably watching Hillary's, her people, And so he got caught because he couldn't control himself. And so since it was a minor, FBI and people got involved. They seized his laptop. He had all the emails on there with Hillary Clinton, all the stuff that she had like deleted and scrubbed and tried to make disappear. He had it saved in a folder that said insurance, right? Because he's dealing with devils I mean, he's the devil too, but he's dealing with people like this, so he's got to protect himself. And so he had a folder called insurance. And within that folder, all these emails are in there, right? And there's, there's this thing called WikiLeaks where they put a lot of that stuff out. But anyway, just to make this short, they got these, they have these weird conversations where they're obviously speaking in code. And they're using all of this terminology that's on the FBI database for like code words that pedophiles use to communicate to each other, right? And that's where the whole Pizzagate thing came in. Because like when they're talking about pizza, can I pull this up? Maybe I could pull that up, the FBI pedophile language. But pizza is like code word for boys or something like that, right? And so the symbols are being used throughout their emails, and they're talking about this Comet ping pong place that they would meet at, which is in like it's a restaurant, like a kiddie type Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant in DC. Okay. And so if you could see that on the screen, hot dog equals a boy, pizza equals a girl, cheese little girl, pasta little boy. It's messed up. Walnut, person of color, right? And so this is real. I mean, you can actually go and find this stuff on your own, not making this up. But anyway, they're using this terminology, and it's obvious that they're not talking about food or whatever, the codes are alluding to. Okay, so it's like really obvious. And so that blew things up. A lot of people started looking at this, and they called the whole thing Pizzagate. All right. And so the mainstream media jumped on it, like you'll see from the New York Times. They immediately call it a conspiracy. These are conspiracy theories. These symbols, which you see on here, are symbols for pedophiles that they have for each other. But they would find out that these people had them in their organizations, prominent people, congressmen, senators, people who like Bill Gates, people like this. And they would find out that like a lot of these organizations that are like for helping orphans and helping children would have these symbols in them, all right, hidden in there. Okay. And so for regular people, they were starting to see enough to connect the dots to know that there's something else going on. So people started digging deeper, and things are starting to get exposed, and now it's starting to get out there. And now you have this whole movement, right? It's working to expose this information, okay? And it's amazing to witness, for me, because I've been knowing about this for a while. I mean, for anyone else out there who's been knowing about this stuff, this shouldn't even be a scary time for you. This should be good. You sitting back, you're just watching it unfold, right? Because it's not like we're the ones that maybe mentally we have something to do with it, but we're not the ones spearheading this, right? This is coming from, for the most part, coming from people of European descent. And like I said, a lot of people who are like Christian, who like, this should be like mind blowing for them. And for a lot of people, it is like, they don't know what to do. This is like, they're getting too much information and they're trying to deal with it. All right, but it's happening. It's getting out there, and it's getting to the point now where this is starting to get out to a lot of people who wouldn't have known before. You can see this screenshot just saying, why are the Hollywood elite in a panic, right? Adrenochrome. So this is saying that there's something else going on with the whole coronavirus thing. If you haven't heard of this before, I guess I could just bring you up to speed really quick, okay? Let me check real quick to see what we have going on in the chat, though. Islam. We got the Great Navy in here. All right. So, Islam, Jackson Bay. So we're going to go back on to what we were just talking about. We'll see if we could bring everyone up to speed really quickly just on what's really going on, because there's more going on than meets the eye, and you should know, because this information is getting out there to the public. So from a perspective of Asiatic people, you are automatically taught to hate Trump, just to hate Republicans in general. And for some strange reason, taught to support or believe in these Democrats, all right, which you have no real stake in either one. You shouldn't have any political loyalty. No one should. Actually, no one should, regardless of ethnicity. But this is Moors in America, so we're talking to the Moors out there. You shouldn't have any political loyalty. Like, that's stupid. No loyalty, because they have no loyalty to you. All right, so your votes or your support should be up for grabs for what you're gonna do for me, right? In order for you to get in office, and then you should be keeping pressure on them. But that's civics. You should be keeping pressure on them even after they get in office to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and that they're not, misusing funds and doing corrupt things. But, besides all that, you just automatically taught to hate Trump. So the mainstream media is pushing against them for some reason, real heavy, clowning them, doing all this stuff, and you're just going along with it. Like, since when is the mainstream media for you? Right? This is the same mainstream media that when an unarmed Asiatic boy gets murdered, just chopped down for no reason, they'll dig and reach to find a picture of him dressed like a thug or something, and just like try to put it up there like, see, he deserved it. And they put that out there. They even, like, with the dude in Ferguson, I think, when the officer killed him in cold blood, he was unarmed. They got video footage of somebody going into the store and snatching some cigars, and they said that was him. They implied that was him because they knew that it wasn't him, but they just put that out there to demonize him, right? Which is crazy. So this is the media. Like, they will literally get something who's not even you, show it to demonize you after your death, right? And that's what you're dealing with. So you trust them? Like, when they're saying Trump said to drink Lysol and to put all this stuff in your body, you're trusting that. Like people that look like us are sharing these memes and resharing it. Like, you're losing. You're losing. They're putting this stuff out there to demonize. They put stuff out there to demonize your people, to down you, to, make you look foolish, and you trust them when they're clowning Trump? Come on, man. You can't trust anything they do. So immediately when that Pizzagate thing happened, they jumped on it. This is a conspiracy. It's not real. This is so crazy. If you believe this stuff, you're crazy, right? But there's more going on than meets the eye. And now this stuff is starting to come out there. Let me see what I can find on Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, a lot of people have been jumping on him lately. Let's see, Hanks. With Tom Hanks, it's gotten to the point where, like, he can't even just make a post on Instagram without everybody jumping on him. And you can't really find this information on Google. That's another thing. Just looking it up online, you can't really find the good stuff because it's like they're pushing it down. But most of the stuff you'll see is like, The Garden, and they're showing that this stuff is conspiracy theory and it's crazy. But let me see if I can find something good. There's some stuff that's just not coincidence and it's crazy, right? So anyway, though, to get back to this, all right, the stuff is starting to get exposed, and it's starting to get to the point where it's not just it's not a coincidence. Okay, something else is going on here. Now, a few years ago, there was a video of a boy escaping from Buckingham Palace. All right. And he was escaping out the window. You look at this and tell me what you think. Okay, because they're gonna try to down this. Okay, so this in the Daily Mail. Okay, I'm trying to get the YouTube video of it because you had two women that are just laughing while this is occurring, because I guess they didn't even realize it was happening. I don't know, but all right. So you have a video. It looks like some women are just like tourists in front of Buckingham Palace, and They're shooting a video, and behind them there's a naked man climbing out of a window and going down a rope made out of bed sheets. Okay? This makes no sense. There's no reason this should be happening if what they tell us is true, that these people are just regular people. Okay? So, okay, here we go. Just laughing. I don't even think they saw this. Did they see this going? Like, this makes no sense. So it doesn't even matter if that was a child, like a preteen or something, or if it's a grown-up. Doesn't even matter. Why is this happening? At Buckingham Palace. Okay, so there's way more stuff going on than meets the eye. And this stuff is starting to get exposed. And Trump is a part of it for whatever reason. I don't know why. Really, I don't think anyone really knows why he's doing it. I mean, he's one of the few, or maybe even the only one, who could put himself in office. Totally self-funded. He didn't need corporations paying to do the things that are necessary to get a person in office. It's not just about your vote. All right? Even just to get out in front of all the people, you need lots and lots of money behind you, lots of backing. He says that he paid out of his own pocket for it, right? And yeah, so anyone that gets into office, like, they're all bought and paid for. They might as well have all the corporate stamps on them for all the different organizations they represent, right? So they're not looking out for you. So he says that he financed himself, which means he could do his own thing. When he was first coming into office, there was a roast where I think they were roasting maybe some guy who was like an archbishop or something like that. I don't remember who actually was getting roasted, but Trump wound up letting them know, basically, that Hillary Clinton's in trouble when he gets into office. Let me see if. All right. They say he roasted Hillary, but it's deeper than that. Watch this guy behind him. Now, this guy behind him, his face is going to go from smiling to looking awkward and crazy. I hope I got the right moment.
Just kidding. And Hillary was very gracious. She said if somehow she gets elected, she wants me to be, without question, either her ambassador to Iraq or to Afghanistan. It's my choice.
It's about to get awkward real quick.
But one of the things I noticed tonight, and I've known Hillary for a long time, this is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking.
Hang on a second. Let me make sure everybody can see this. Can everybody see that? Can y'all hear this? Islam. Okay, so the audio wasn't working. All right, good. Okay, so we basically I'm just gonna play a little bit of this clip just so you can see, like, basically when Trump was coming into office, he started letting people know, or letting them know, his constituents, because he like rub elbows with these people, because he's coming from money and privilege. He knows the game. He knows what's going on. All right, so he let them know that he's not coming in to kowtow, or to play the part that everyone else has to play. You have to play your part. They play with blackmail. Everybody has dirt on someone, which is like that thing I was talking about where Andrew Weiner had the folder called insurance that had all the emails and stuff in there, right? So everyone's got dirt on everybody because they're all doing grimy, despicable things that are, just like some things is just unspeakable. All right, but so he's at this dinner, right? And check this out.
to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it. It's true. It's true. It's true. You know, last night I called Hillary a nasty woman. But this stuff is all relative. After listening to Hillary rattle on and on and on, I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore.
Let me fast forward this
Melania
a bit.
gives the exact same speech since the 70s. What's her pitch? The economy is busted. The government's corrupt. Washington is failing. Vote for me. I've been working on these problems for 30 years. I can fix it, she says. I wasn't really sure if Hillary was going to be here tonight because I guess you didn't send her invitation by email. Or maybe you did and she just found out about it through the wonder of WikiLeaks. We've learned so much from
about that
WikiLeaks.
Pizzagate
For example, Hillary believes that it's vital to deceive the people by having one public policy and a totally different policy in private. That's okay. I don't know who they're angry at, Hillary, you're right. For example, here she is tonight.
Look at this. You see Gail there? That's Gail. That's Oprah's friend, right? So if you're rubbing elbows with these people, you got to be in bed with them, okay? And so, like, he's starting to say some stuff that's, like, you know, he's going way off the script, right? And it was a problem. Like, they knew when, you know, that he was going to be a problem. Allegedly, one of the emails that is on WikiLeaks from Hillary Clinton, she was saying, you know, they got to stop Trump from getting in office because if he gets in, they're all going to be hanging from nooses, right? That was a big deal. She was supposed to be the president.
In public, pretending not to hate Catholics. Now, if some of you haven't noticed, Hillary isn't laughing as much as the rest of us. That's because she knows the jokes. And all of the jokes were given to her in advance of the dinner by Donna Brazile, which is, everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you. I don't know, and I don't want this evening without saying something nice about my opponent. Hillary's been in Washington.
So I'm gonna
This
play
tape
real
is
quick,
generating
too, right?
intense interest. In just 48 hours, it's become the
Is not right, but he gets to run his campaign any way he chooses. He gets to decide what he wants to talk about. He never apologized to the distinguished federal judge who was born in Indiana. But Donald said he couldn't be trusted to be a judge.
And certainly I'm not proud of it, but that was something that happened. If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never words that I said 11 years ago. I think it's disgraceful, and I think she should be ashamed of herself, if you want to know the truth.
Can we please hold the applause? Secretary Clinton, you have 2 minutes.
Well, first, let me start by saying that so much of what he's just said is not right, but he gets to run his campaign any way he chooses. He gets to decide what he wants to talk about. Instead of answering people's questions, talking about our agenda, laying out the plans that we have that we think can make a better life and a better country, that's his choice. When I hear something like that, I am reminded of what my friend Michelle Obama advised us all. When they go low, you go high. And
I missed the part.
look, if this were just about one video, maybe what he's saying tonight respects women whose son, Captain Khan, died in the line of duty in Iraq. And Donald...
Okay. I was just trying to play the clip where he lets her know that if he was president, she'd be in jail. Couldn't find it. But anyway, gonna keep moving forward. So, yeah, old dude was looking sick in the background, right? They beefing for real, just as the Moabiters said. It's for real. And, you know, it's infighting, and it's happening out in the public. And we don't really, there's no reason for us, you know, to be getting caught up in what the media is pushing. All right, it's not to your benefit. I was trying to play the clip from their debate. Actually, Hillary Clinton was saying like it's a good thing that he's not president, and then he said, because if I was president, you'd be in jail. Okay, and he's actually doing things behind the scenes to make that happen. A lot of people aren't gonna believe what I'm gonna say, but I'm just gonna put this out there anyway. So this stuff called adrenochrome, this is a chemical compound, all right, that we're being told is coming from secretions, all right, from the glands that happen from people that when they're getting tortured, all right. And for the longest, like I grew up in the 80s and 90s, like we always used to see the children on the milk cartons. They always used to tell us how so many children are missing. Hundreds of thousands of children in the United States alone go missing every year, all right, which makes no sense. They just go missing, boom, just disappear, all right. There was a movie not too long ago with Halle Berry where somebody comes and takes her son while she's out. You know, she's not paying attention. They come and grab her kid while she's at the playground. And they're like desperate as hell to get this child and just to take children. You see them because she's like going after them. And so you see these people are like extremely desperate, right, to get away with children. But this stuff is actually occurring in real life all the time, right? And so, you know, it's starting to come out now. Just in the last 2 years, child trafficking, human trafficking, especially child trafficking, starting to get exposed. Some of these people are starting to get busted. It's a big deal. So one of the things is, like they're saying, like with the children, man, they torture them. They do terrible things to them. You know, they abuse them sexually. They just do horrible things to them because they realize that this adrenochrome that is produced from the children is even more potent than what you get from adults. They get a high from it. I guess it makes them look younger. You know, all types of crazy things are going on, but it's real. The actual compound, it's real. It's actually being sold. That's one of the things, like, you know, with the whole, you know, all the hype about the Bitcoin and stuff. Bitcoin and then different digital currencies have been being used online on the dark web as a way of trading this stuff, as a way of, you know, human trafficking, talking to each other, exchanging funds. All right, all of that stuff's been used, and that's why they wanted the digital currency, because they could do it, and they figured out a way to try to, you know, make it so that it couldn't be tracked, or so that it'd be easier for them to hide what they were doing. All right, and the thing is, like, this goes all the way up. All right, there's a case in Canada with the Queen of England. Like in the 70s, she went there, and she they made like 20 children disappear. They were indigenous children, like from the tribes there. All right, and it's a big deal because like you can look that up and get more information on that on your own, but there's still some people from that tribe who haven't given that up. They're still pushing to get them prosecuted for that case because they're not giving up, you know, on what happened to them. You know, I guess they figured they could just take advantage of these people because they're powerless, you know, maybe living on a reservation or something like that. But this happened in the 70s, all right? And you saw the video with the dude escaping out of Buckingham Palace butt naked, coming out of a window in bed sheets. Like, what is this about, right? So these things are happening right under our noses. Many people, you know, wouldn't believe it anyway because it sounds too crazy. And anytime this, you know, now that it's starting to leak out, you can't hide it forever. The Pizzagate, all these things are happening. The media immediately jumps on it, tries to clown it, you know, clown it because that's all they could do to try to keep you from looking deeper. Because if you realize what's really going on, all right, all of this is coming down because it goes all the way up to the top. The Pope, all of these people are involved in this, right? The Catholic Church has been under fire for a while, right? With all the sexual abuse they've been doing, that's been occurring for like over 100 years now. But it started getting exposed, you know, in like in the 90s, you know, more cases coming out, people having to step down, high ranking priests having to step down. It's starting to come out. All right. The stuff you do in the dark eventually gets exposed. So it's coming out. And now people are starting to see some of the weird things that the celebrities are doing. You got these people like Madonna, you know, putting out these weird videos. Crazy, which don't make any sense unless there's something else going on. Right? They're acting like this stay-at-home stuff was just so hard to deal with. They're acting like it's killing them. Okay? You got this screenshot from Lady Gaga. This is probably from like last year or something like that. But she's saying this stuff that makes no sense. Beware, vampires. The blood you choose to suck wisely. It may fill your pores from the inside out with a wicked poison unknown to you. Perhaps you took a bite of flesh you can't handle. Perhaps I'm also a vampire or a new creature undead you have yet to meet. Just stuff that makes no sense. And then the fans just like, oh yeah, I love you guys. Yeah. Right? Like what the hell is she talking about? Right? There's something else going on here. Okay? And it's deeper than what they're telling you, and it's starting to come out now. Like I said, just the fact that you have a bunch of people, mostly Europeans, call themselves patriots, people who are Christians, who are thinking about this, looking into this, right? These are like the last people to wake up, and they're waking up. It's over. It's to the point where like Madonna and a lot of these celebrities, they can't even make posts, Ellen DeGeneres, without everybody coming on there calling them pedophiles and pointing out how sick and twisted they are. It's to the point where they're not going to be able to just come back next year like nothing happened. All right? They're not going to be able to come back from this. Things are going to change. Okay? And it's starting to get obvious, you know, of what the agendas are. I mean, you know, most of you watching know you can't trust Bill Gates. Bill Gates just maybe 5-7 years ago was going around the circuits like the TED talks and stuff like that, talking about how the world population is too high. So he was actively campaigning for depopulation, which we know is genocide, right? He was talking about killing people, and he specifically zeroed in on Africa. Like, he was very transparent about depopulating the earth, and he zeroed in on Africa, and then he's pushing the vaccines heavy, right? Every time anything happened, H1N1, any of that stuff, he's pushing for vaccines. This whole COVID-19 thing, this is a big push. This was their thing. They were pushing hard for it. And he's pushing hard for vaccines still. It's so transparent. It's obvious, right? And so it's crazy because it's not working. The stuff has been exposed. Too many people are awake now for this to go down. But you still have the media pushing it. They're obviously backing it. I just saw some video, Will Smith talking with the guy, Dr. Fauci, who's on Trump's coronavirus task force, and he's talking with him like, why do you have an actor talking with this guy, this doctor? How does that match up? Like, Will Smith's an expert in anything? No, not in, you know, viruses and stuff like this. So they're talking, and he's pushing vaccines. Will Smith, you can't trust them. They're all on this stuff you see here. They're on it. And this is how they get more of it. I don't know. But they're on it. They're a part of it. They're not like you and me. Because, like I was saying earlier, man, they get you in there with blackmail and all of these despicable, horrible things, and they're all taking part in it. So you can't trust it. And so, yeah, he's pushing it. They're all pushing it. And it's getting exposed. So you have to look deeper. You know, they had the recent press conference where, for the most part, Trump, if you really listen to him, well, first I'll give you the trash, the crap that's getting pushed. He had the White House press conference, and since most people didn't watch it, the media is pushing that Trump said to inject bleach into your system, to inject disinfectants into your system. All right? And people's pushing and taking it and run with it. And then, of course, all the black folks, the Asiatics that don't know who they are. And even some of you Asiatics who should know better because you know that you're more. Y'all pushing it. You're just running with the mainstream media narrative, which is that he said this, but he never said that. If you actually go back and watch and see what he said, he was telling you to get out and get some sunlight because they know that it kills it. Literally. Getting out and getting sunlight. And not only that, the UV rays, something that, you could use a UV lamp. And they're showing how in places like in Wuhan, which is supposed to be, ground zero, Wuhan, China, they're actually using UV rays, like UV lamps, to put that onto the people who are sick with the coronavirus and people who are getting tested. And they do that to make sure there's no cross-contamination because they know that it kills the virus, right? And so he's basically saying, for people to get out, get sunlight. Maybe they can use things like UV rays to disinfect, to help, people. Literally, he never said to drink this stuff. And I'm not saying it's like, I'm pumping Trump's going to save you. I'm just saying, he never said that. The mass media doesn't want you to notice. So whatever they're pushing, you should immediately be skeptical of. You should be skeptical of what anyone's saying, but especially the mainstream media, right? So something's going on. And, I say this to say that none of this should be scary to us. This is what we've been waiting on. And if you haven't been waiting on it, it's because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? That there's more going on than meets the eye. But if you knew this years ago, then what's happening now is just everything is lying. So if you knew this has been going on for a while, then you should know that this is just everything coming to foot. Everything is actually starting to manifest and happen. And it's happening right before our very eyes. Just recently, earlier this year, mass arrest, right? 298 high-ranking officials in the government in Saudi Arabia, Mecca, getting arrested. Why? Saudi Arabia has been used, because of the oil reserves and their position to spread corruption. They've been a huge part of what has been coming from Europe and the United States to spread corruption throughout the world, to control, the world economies, right? The United States, for the longest, they've got everybody dependent on fossil fuels and on having to exchange whatever they have for U.S. currency in order to trade and in order to get oil, right? So it's horrible. And it's something that has been going on for a while, and it's starting to fall apart right before our eyes. All right, and it's being dismantled, okay? And so they, nearly 300, high-ranking officials arrested, for corruption in Saudi Arabia. All of this stuff is coming down, all right? You even had some members of royalty. It's all coming down, and it's coming down right before our eyes. And the signs and symbols are there. Last year, you had the plague. You had locusts invaded Mecca. The Kaaba, all of this stuff was just filled with locusts to the point where people couldn't even come out there and walk around, right? And you can see in the media, mainstream media even, they're calling it biblical plague because it was ridiculous. This doesn't happen. This isn't it'd be different if this is just something that happens every year. Nah, this was of biblical proportions, right? In Mecca. What does this mean? And then it happened here too, in the desert, in Las Vegas, right? And this is just showing, this is a video showing the even the Kaaba, just covered in locusts. It was everywhere. People couldn't really walk around. It was it was ridiculous. And then it happened here too, same time last year, right? Well, that happened in January, and then in the summer happened again, July, in Vegas. Vegas got taken over by locusts. What are grasshoppers? Grasshoppers are locusts, right? Same thing, a plague, you know, biblical seeming swarm. And the grasshoppers took over Vegas for a while. You know, I remember people, you know, taking videos, nobody's out, you know, streets just covered in locusts, everything covered in locusts, grasshoppers, right? And they were there for like a week or longer. Just took it up, shut it down, right? Took over the strip and everything. It's ridiculous, right? And this happened, you know, throughout the Middle East, Asia, Africa. It says one swarm in Kenya, 3 times the size of New York City, okay? And they could multiply 400-fold by June if not treated. And this is from earlier this year, February. Okay? So this stuff is happening right before our eyes. And, you know, we've gotten away from our sciences, away from our own indigenous ways. We've gotten away from our own divine creed. So we're not interpreting what's really going on and understanding. This applies to us. All right, this all applies to us. And so the information's coming out. This is stuff that, I mean, like the brother Phil Valentine put this video out, but he's been talking about this stuff for a long time. But now, like I was saying, you have regular Christians who are on this, and they know about the deep state. We've been talking about the deep state, right? We've been knowing that there's a secret government that has nobody's interest at heart. They're only about themselves. They have underground cities. You know what I'm saying? They're openly your enemy. All right? They're poisoning the water, poisoning the air, you know, doing all of these heinous things, and they're behind all of it. And they've been doing this stuff. Every time a virus comes out, swine flu, all of these things were manufactured and put out there purposely, right? Like biological warfare. So all of these things are happening. We've been knowing about this for a while, but it's starting to be exposed. And all of this stuff now is being connected with Trump. They have this whole thing called QAnon. For the people that don't know, they're saying that there is somebody who's a high-ranking official with top security clearance within the administration, like a military individual who has the highest ranking, you know, security clearance, or at least like one of the top rankings. So he knows about all this stuff. So he's an inside player who's working to take it down. All right. And they're saying that these people approached Trump, you know, actually before he ran for office to see if he would be with it, because they needed somebody who wasn't bought and paid for. All right. So, you know, I'm not telling you to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't have any eggs in any basket. I'm not saying, oh, you need to depend on Trump to save you. He's going to save you. I'm not saying any of that, because you really, you don't have any eggs in the other basket. You don't have any eggs in his basket. You don't even have your own basket. We have, you know, what it takes to be successful, but we haven't collectively come together to do it. So we're not making, you know, we're not actively making any of this stuff happen. But it's still amazing that it's occurring. So none of this stuff should be scary for people. You do need to look outside the box. You definitely shouldn't be just believing what they're pushing on the mainstream media. I mean, it's so dumbed down and it's like ridiculous, you know, how they have so many of us trained to the point where even the so-called smart people still are going with the narrative of Trump's bad, Republicans bad, they're all bad. Like, come on, man. I mean, I can see if you just don't trust any of them, that's cool. But if you really with the whole, you know, Obama and them are good and these guys are bad, you're lost in the sauce out here, because there's way more going on than meets the eye, okay? And a lot of this stuff is going to be exposed, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen now. All right, and we've been warned about this. I mean, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali warned us, chapter 48 of the Holy Quran, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. He gave us the instructions. All right, we have the divine plan of the ages. We have what it takes. We have a quote. Allegedly, the Prophet said, "One day, every wheel of industry is going to stop, and when they start up again, it will be in the Asiatics' favor." So these things that are happening, We're not pushing it. We're not behind it. We didn't help to get President Trump in office, but he's still doing it. They're saying that with the QAnon thing, that there's military takedowns where they're actually working to take these people down and to go into the underground tunnels and all this stuff, where the children are, and they're using this whole COVID thing as a cover to get it done. All right. And one of the reasons why they wanted people to actually stay in homes is because if we're out there, what's going to happen? You're going to have some false flag attack. You're going to have a shooting. They said that this march was the first march in years where we didn't have a school shooting. There's always something going on. Public events people were attending, they have a shooter. They had one, I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, in Vegas, where they had a concert, and some guy is just up in a hotel room shooting at people at random. Who does that? And then they showed the picture of him, and in the picture he's got his eyes closed. Letting you know he was not a willing participant in it, the signs and symbols are right there, and it's crazy. So all these things are going on around you, and of course, if you're not thinking outside the box, all of that stuff just happens, and you don't get any of the messages or pictures, but it's real, okay? And like we were saying, it's getting exposed right now, in front of your eyes, okay? So whether you're ready or not, it doesn't even matter, because it's time. It's time for the stuff to get exposed. It's time for it to come down. If we look at the plagues of Egypt from the Bible in Exodus 10 verses 1 through 20, they talked about the locusts. God told the Hebrews, "How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will bring locusts into your country tomorrow. They will cover the face of the ground so that it cannot be seen. They will devour what little you have left after the hail, including every tree that is growing in your fields. They will fill your houses and those of all your officials and all the Egyptians, something neither your fathers nor your forefathers have ever seen from the day they settled in this land till now." All right. Also says that there's going to be darkness for 3 days. Right? And also says that there's going to be a death of the firstborn. Y'all remember that? God said, "About midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son of Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn of the slave girl." Everyone, even the Hebrews. All right? Everyone's firstborn will die unless they mark their door. And so all of these things are occurring right here before our very eyes, and they all apply to us. So yes, we appreciate you. If you appreciate our channel and the information that we share, make sure to send a donation to Cash App, just the $ Moors in America. All right, and I just wanted to share this because you see that in the media. They're always talking about the pandemic and so negative and pushing how harsh it is and how scary it is, and it's like, come on, man, come on. There's way more to this. Somebody said in the chat, Trump probably had Epstein killed because they used to party together. All right, look, for all we know, Epstein's not dead. For all we know, they faked his death because Epstein's about to roll on all of those people, all these high-up people that he's rubbing elbows with because he has no choice, because he's on lockdown. All right? Because it wouldn't make any sense. Obviously, he couldn't have killed himself if he's under watch. He's under what's it called when you're on lockdown and you're being watched? But he's being watched round the clock. He didn't kill himself. But for all we know, that's a cover. All right? Because they're about to do a military tribunal and take out some of these people or all of these people. Trump told Hillary Clinton that if he's president, she's going down. She would be in jail. All right? He said it. A lot of people laughed and clapped. Hillary Clinton just tried to laugh it off. But they have the WikiLeaks email where she's telling her peers, we need to take care of this. You need to get me in office. She said this in her email. Like, if we don't take care of Trump, we're all gonna be hanging from nooses. All right. She said that. All right. They're scared of him. Okay. I'm not saying Trump's here to save you and all this stuff, but I'm not saying that you won't benefit from this. All right. So, no, you shouldn't be scared anyway, but definitely shouldn't be scared because of what they're pushing in the media and what they're telling you. All right. And then back to that person that said the thing about Epstein. Yeah, for all you know, they faked his death. Why? Because he's about to roll on all of his people. They already got his flight logs and everything. They know everyone has been there. Chris Tucker's been there. I think Will Smith. A whole bunch of these, Asiatic celebrities like Sean Combs. They had a prince, I think a Prince of Monaco or someone like that. You know, they had different people who aren't, because the real wealthy people are the ones who aren't celebrities that you don't know. And they got people like that on there. People whose names you don't recognize. All right? So it's big. It's big. And you also okay, in the same comment, you mentioned the Weinstein dude, the Harvey Weinstein. Same thing with him. You know, he's on lockdown. They got him, and eventually he's going to roll on his people too. Because it wasn't just about him taking advantage of the women, right? Nah. He's way grimier than that. They all are. They do sick, twisted things together, and they need some, people, because they're going to hold their military trials. They need some of the people to tell on each other, and they got it. And that's why they're scared. Okay? It's all coming down. The thing I was talking about with that guy, Tom Hanks. You know, they kept showing him and his wife saying that they had contracted the virus and they were on lockdown. And they put out some pictures, showing themselves, I guess, in their room or wherever they were at. And people noticed, like, they zoomed in on the picture and noticed that their door had a barcode on it. They're like, whose door has a barcode on it? And I guess people were saying that, the military jails are set up like that. So we have no idea what's going on, and I'm just putting that out there because I don't know. Neither do you. But all I know is that you can't trust what you're seeing. All right? Islam. So, yeah, as was said in the chat, Trump's the only one that was self-financed. He wasn't bought and paid for, and that's why they are scared of him. It's like, yeah, he was partying with them. Yes, he knows how they get down. All right? I'm not saying that he doesn't have his own agenda. I'm not saying that his agenda is wonderful, because we don't even know what it is. All I'm saying is, don't be a sucker. You're supposed to hate him. Don't be a sucker, man. You need to be smarter than that. You can't have any political loyalty. That would be stupid. Think outside the box, right? And scrolling back through the chat to see if that person ever answered the question, because he asked when we're gonna come together, and I said, what are you talking about? Coming together as a nation. Don't you know that the prophet established the society for us? And he didn't answer back. So I'm gonna assume you're outside of that. Okay, but all of this that I'm talking about, even when I mentioned how the Americas, all of this, we've been over here since before the continent split apart, none of that applies to you if you're not of the society, because that's in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right? Plain and simple. And people can play dumb if they want and act like they don't know what I'm talking about. This sounds crazy, but look, the thing that I mentioned about the Yantu, the Peruvian, the ancient nobility in Peru wearing the Yantu, and it was a fez. All right? That's not the only case of the people, indigenous people over here, wearing fezzes and turbans. All right? This is what the nobility here wore, without a doubt. All right? It's a worldwide thing because we had an ancient worldwide culture, and the prophet relinked us with that. All right, he brought us with that. The Moorish Science Temple of America teaches this, also gives you the ability to proclaim your nationality and get linked back in with that. In Acts 6, it says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. And I'm going to cut it off there, but it's twofold. So not only are we teaching, but you also come with us and proclaim. Okay? You proclaim and you move together as a unit now. So the with us is letting you know you have to come in. Just like in the Act 1 is saying the Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right? It's giving you the legislative branch of government, but it's letting you know that it's of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So you can't skip around that. There's a lot of people who want to skip around that. Most of the people that want to skip around that is because you don't know any better. You didn't know why it's important, and that's okay. But then there's some of you who do know, and you still don't want to get with it. And I don't know what the deal is with those people, but I get it. For most of you, you don't know. All right? So now you know. You can't claim ignorance. You have to come in and do it. Now's the time. None of this stuff applies to you if you're not of the Moorish Science Temple of America, plain and simple. How can you claim the Constitution and all of these laws and things that we have if you're not of the society? All right? People running around with the, like skimming the fence, sharing memes showing the Americas and saying that's Al Morocco and stuff. It's like, dude, it's not Al Morocco if you're not of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That wouldn't even come into play. You can't even make that argument unless you are of this society and you're looking into it and you're seeing the connection. If you're on the outside looking in, it doesn't apply. All right? And I see that same person asked the question saying, is Moors, Masons, and Freemasons the same thing? No. One came from the other. You want to know which one came from the other? I'm going to share some information really quickly and you can make the connection. All right? One was an ancient worldwide civilization that built pyramids, that had an ancient mystery system. Okay? There was just a portion of its culture and civilization, the mystery system for passing down wisdom and information. All right? They had an ancient worldwide civilization, which means they even had a worldwide language at one point. It's, old enough to predate the continent splitting up, which is why you see the pyramids and structures all over the world. And then the other one is based off of that portion, that mystery school, that only has some keys, some lessons, some degrees from that mystery school. They don't even have the whole thing. All right? And they use those symbols from that ancient civilization. You'll see the pyramids, the Eye of Providence or the Eye of Ra. You'll see some of the symbols from that ancient civilization. All right, so which one do you think, came first? Which one do you think? It's like, obviously, Moors and Masons aren't the same thing. One is a watered-down version of the other. A watered-down version of one of our portions from our society. Okay? That's it. And that portion was given to help civilize the people. To help them step up. Because they were the youngest on the planet at the time. All right, so that's the answer to that. Let's see. The person, I guess Goldmine Entertainment said you can claim to be a Moor on your own. You can do whatever you want. Said the MSTA is the organization by ways of your membership. Now you would be considered a Moorish American. So that's kind of true. I mean, you can claim to be a Moor and of Moorish descent, but officially the Prophet was the first Moorish American. Why? Because he created it. No one was calling themselves Moorish Americans. He relinked the ancient descent with your current nationality. Your free national name is American. You're an American citizen. He relinked you with the ancient. You are Moorish American. He created something new. When he draped the Moorish flag around the boy, the Moorish flag around the girl and the American flag around the boy, he deemed them Moorish Americans. He deemed us a people, Moorish Americans. All right? He established the society for us to come in and correct the damage that has been done with us being kept in the dark, which is what you see like when I was speaking about Exodus, about the plagues, locusts, the 3 days of darkness and all that stuff. That was because, symbolically Egypt wouldn't release God's people. He kept them in the dark, right? Which is where we're being kept, in the dark. Hang on a second. We're being kept in the dark. All right. And so the prophet established a society. He went into Cook County, right, Illinois, and officially established the Moorish Science Temple of America. Before that, it was a civic organization. But he realized, okay, our work is largely religious. We're relinking with our divine creed, teaching that. And part of our purpose, our divine purpose, is relinking our people back to who they are. All right? So it was huge, and that can't be attacked. And so it's a religious purpose. It's part of our society. One of the excuse me, a part of the divine plan even is relinking back with who you are, establishing that and carrying yourself now as a Moorish American. All right? So this was a huge part of it, and that fell up under the Islamic portion. So we established a religious society where you can come in now and relink yourself back in, so you're now no longer this new thing. This Negro is a new thing. The Negro, was just a label which changes. The name changes. It updates. It has to update constantly. It went to colored. Then it had to go to black. Now it's African American, right? So it has to constantly update, but it's still the same. It still denotes to the same thing. It's outside of the family of humans. So it's just something here for abuse. It's something that's here to be abused and taken advantage of. He is in the midst of all that, while nobody else even knew how to attack this or how to approach it, because our people hadn't put it together. You had several intelligent, wise, Asiatic men and women who were working, trying to, assist, trying to help empower us, and they hadn't figured that out. So he came with divine insight and established the society for us to come into, to reconnect with our ancient descent, and where you can proclaim your nationality. So now you are human, because as a Negro, as a black person, you're just the creation. And since your creator is the European, they're your custodians. They're your guys. And that's why in a lot of ways, they are our custodians, have to figure out what to do with us, take care of us, abuse us. And we can't accept aid. When Hurricane Katrina's going on, Cuba and different places tried to send aid for the people. They turned it down. Why? Because they're our custodians. We can't even speak for ourselves, right? But as Moorish Americans, we can. Obviously, we're not in the same boat. And so he created that venue, that society for us to move within. And he didn't just incorporate it. They actually established an economy, self-sustaining economy. They actually went to the Pan American Conference as a head of state, right? And actually met allegedly with several world leaders from different countries, like Mexico, allegedly. Met with the allegedly people in the president's cabinet here as well. So he announced it to the world. He did these things, and boom, that's a nation. All right. So no one else has done that, even still to this day. So, to go back to that person's question, this is the only way. You have to come within the society. You want to say you're a Moorish, what's some I don't want to take shots at anyone, but yeah, so many people out here making up their own thing. You're this Moorish tribe, this whatever. Yay, fine. They'll be like, oh, we have seats at the UN. Yay, fine. You have nothing. You have nothing. All right, you're trying to reinvent the wheel, and you're not even doing it all the way. All right, it's not good enough. So you have to come within the society and move as a unit and do it properly. And now's the time. There's no more time to play, man. It's over with. We've been on this. If you're new to this, just know that it's not a game. And Islam, to the person that said that's why it's called a national headdress. Exactly. It's not a hat. It's not a fad. This is something that's ancient. This is thousands of years old. Maybe even more than that. They have it etched in stone. The Easter Island heads are wearing fezzes. Okay? They were wearing fezzes in ancient Egypt. It's etched in the stone. They're wearing them in Mesopotamia. It's etched in the stone. They're wearing them over here in Central America and in North America. And once again, it's etched into stone and it's in hieroglyphs. Okay? Turbans and fezzes. It's not a game. And the Prophet relinked us back with that, which is why we still pay honor and respect to him and why we hold his word as law. So if the Prophet is telling me, with us, I must proclaim my nationality, I'm doing it. And if you get this and you're still not doing it, it's something wrong with you. In my eyes, it's like, okay, that, you made your choice. Islam to Mr. Ford. It's like, if you know this stuff and you still being hard-headed, it's something wrong with you. For real, because, I just laid it out. Maybe I didn't use enough words or something, but he came and he relinked you. No one else did it. And still to this day, no one has taken all the steps necessary to be recognized as a real official nation, a real official self-governing body of people. No one. All right? So everyone else is just playing games. All right? So you got to move, and you got to move within the society the Prophet established. And if you're trying to do it outside of that, good, wish you the best of luck. But, it is what it is. So, the Constitution and bylaws don't apply if you're not a member. The Quran, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America don't apply if you're not a member. All right? It don't apply. All right? So, not going along with any of that mess. You can try to claim the connections and links and stuff that we have, but it doesn't really apply to you if you're not a member of that society. So, it doesn't make any sense for people to still be trying to, do their own thing on the outside. Do your thing and come within and help. Become an active participant in the Moorish Divine and National Movement. All right, so let me see. I want y'all to hear that thing though when Trump told her she was going to jail. Because it's like, I'm not trying to just pump Trump up. I'm just keeping it real. All right? He told her. You think I'm joking? He told her because you be in jail. He said that at the presidential debate. People are scared of Hillary Clinton. And for good reason. Okay? For good reason.
Can fact check.
Hillary Clinton's got bodies. She don't play any games, man. So, all right, we're going to do this real quick. So, let me share this. I want y'all to see this because he let her know. He let it be known where he stands.
Fact check him in real time. Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
We want to remind the audience to please.
Okay, so he wasn't playing games. it's really happening. We're starting to see this stuff unravel right before us. Right before us. And
Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Yo, just for that alone, he deserves some respect, man. Put some respect on his name. Just for telling, like, you know, this beast to her face that she be in jail if he gets elected, you know? I mean, like, seriously. You know, this is somebody who had no problem with calling young Asiatic men and women super predators. Had no problem calling super predators. And she wasn't just saying it. She's saying this in a position to make laws that will make it more harsh on these people. And that's why she was calling them super predators. All right? She said that Margaret Sanger is her hero. Okay? The person who created Planned Parenthood, who's on the record talking about how they need to exterminate the Negroes, and they'll use the black preachers to get the message out. Because they can't say it, so they use the black preachers to say it. So, like, come on. All right? She knows all that stuff. All right? But she goes on the Breakfast Club and talks about having hot sauce in her purse, and the Negroes are so stupid they just applaud and go along with it. Come on, it's time out for that stuff. This stuff is coming down. It's over. It's officially over. All right, there's no coming back from this. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and end this. Islam to Mr. Floyd said if Trump doesn't like you, he will tell you. He'll tell you to your face. He's calling the news fake media, fake news, and he's just saying it outright. There was just like the other day, one of the reporters was talking to him. He's like, and you're the president, so people are looking at you to say this. And he's like, let me stop you right there. He's like, I'm the president, and you're the fake news. You know, and he said that, and it's just like, wow. He's just calling it out, and it's wonderful to see, and I'm glad he's dismantling it, you know, because it needs to happen. All right, he's nationalizing the Fed. I mean, like, he's nationalizing it, and then he's gonna dismantle it and do away with it. All right, like, come on, man. Do you guys know what the Fed is? The Federal Reserve. You know, it's some non-governmental agency that controls the economy. They control the economy. All right? They print up money, you know, which is why the money keeps depreciating. You know, they went off the gold standard and all this stuff, and he's doing away with it. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. I didn't know this was going to happen, but it's happening. So all I'm saying is think outside the box. Think outside the box. Don't put all your faith in one person like they're going to save you. Nobody's saying that. All right, but it's definitely not a bad thing that this is occurring. And as I said, on that note, we're just gonna go ahead and close out. Peace and love to everybody. Make sure you send a donation to Cash App. Just put the $ Moors in America. All right, and as was said in the chat, if there's no temple near you, just send an email to bay@moorsinamerica.com, and we'll connect you with the closest temple. But yeah, it's time to come in. Like, stop playing with it. Stop playing with it. All right, it's not a game out here. You see the times. This is it. This is the end times. All right, but it's just new beginnings for us if you know who you are and you're moving accordingly. All right, so we're gonna do this. And just want to end it on that note. Peace and love to everybody. All right. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Peace and love to everybody. We're just gonna end it on that note. Peace and love. You know what though? I want y'all to listen to this. All right. And let me know. Let me know what you think of this song. Y'all, let's get some feedback in the chat.
Moors. I'm Moorish American.
Representing Mission 30. I am a Moorish American. Islamism.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soar through the shores and endure criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, facing Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, on that note, I'm going to say Islamism. Peace and love to everybody. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all enjoy your day. Make sure you get on somebody's Sunday school so you can get these lessons. All right? And on that note, I'm out.